military is a sense that veterans are getting the services and the resources that they need, but also the promise that the military will offer resources and opportunity. And so I think when people tune in and they watch the pomp and the circumstances, but they also see the protests, they also hear about veterans who have these astronomical rates of homelessness and suicide, who see these long lines at Veterans Affairs and dealing with that kind of thing, that actually ends up being a turnoff. And so I think at a moment where the country is very, very much upset about the direction of the country, about how we exist as a united nation, I think this was exactly the opposite kind of thing to do in a moment that should be about celebrating the military, but also about the kind of resources and protection
it was recording. Everything is recording.
That the military can provide.
Leah Reitberger in Washington, D.C. for us. Leah, thank you.
Thank you.
To Los Angeles now, where police used tear gas and horses to try to clear out people protesting federal immigration raids. Police say some protesters threw pieces of concrete, fireworks, and bottles at officers. City officials say more than 20,000 people rallied in Los Angeles during the day. Both sides are suffering damage and casualties as Iran and Israel ramp up missile strikes on each other. Still at war, say growing death toll among civilians in Israel and devastating attacks on the heart of Iran's military. Plus, Iran and the U.S. canceling the next round of nuclear talks, while the Trump administration says it's still committed to the discussions. Next.
So why can't we say we're the best home shopping site? Because while true, you just can't say that legally. So I can't say, Homes.com is the best. No.
What if we jumbled up the words?
Homes best is com.pa. No. What if we said it in Spanish?
Homes.com es el mejor.
Oh. What if we whispered it?
No. Fine. What if he said?
Homes.com. It's the best.
Mr. Freeman, I'm sorry, but we can't say that.
Say what?
Homes.com is the best.
Ah.
Homes.com.
It's the best.
As a global beverage company, Suntory strives to enrich people's lives through the gifts of nature. Water is the essence of every sip we craft. That's why Suntory aims to be net water positive by 2050. We are expanding our water reclamation stations worldwide to ensure this precious resource can be passed down to future generations, helping both the planet and its people thrive.
NASCAR Fastest in Mexico City. Brand new road course for the Cup guys. I love it. Sounds like a track with my name all over it. Actually, it's Colorado's rover with Hermanos Rodriguez.
Mexico City.
NASCAR, it's on Prime.
Start your 30-day great drive. Visit your Audi dealer and use the only 2025 Audi Q5 Quattro Premium for $699 per month.
You want high-performance, long-lasting, affordable tools. You want Harbor Freight tools. Whatever you do it for less than Harbor Freight. Save even more at our parking lot sale going on now.
When investing leads to questions, JP Morgan Wealth Management has powerful tools, research from expert analysts, and a single view of your banking and investing accounts right in the Chase mobile app. When you want to take control of your financial future, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
The culprit with living creatures where there is one.
Or the Home Defense Max Indoor Insect Barrier. One application kills and prevents bugs for 365 days. Features wild. Your home doesn't have to be.
When I was diagnosed with HIV, I didn't know who I would be.
But here I am, being me.
Keep being you and ask your healthcare provider about the #1 prescribed HIV treatment, Biktarvy.
Biktarvy is a complete one pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in many people, whether you're 18 or 80. With one small pill, Biktarvy fights HIV to help you get to undetectable and stay there. Whether you're just starting or replacing your current treatment, research shows that taking HIV treatment as prescribed and getting to and staying undetectable Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Minor life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid in the liver. Don't take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or if you have hepatitis B. Don't stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your healthcare provider. Common side effects are diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
No matter where life takes you, Biktarvy can go with you. Talk to your healthcare provider today.
You are looking and hearing one of a series of Iranian strikes on Israel in recent hours. Officials say at least 8 people have been killed and about 140 injured, as some missiles got through Israeli air defenses. Tehran claims it used its new guided or maneuverable ballistic missile, which was unveiled just last month. Iran is also taking fire with this oil depot near Tehran burning after Israeli attacks. Iranian media is reporting the country's defense ministry in Tehran has been struck, along with the world's largest natural gas field in southern Iran. Sources are telling CNN that Israeli operations will likely last, quote, weeks, not days. Nana Bashir is monitoring those developments, and she joins us now from London. What's the latest?
Well, once again, we've seen that overnight ceasefire between Israel and Iran, more rocket missiles landed in Israeli territory, and since said, of course, for Iran, we have seen huge targets across Tehran being impacted by Israeli military operation. Of course, as you mentioned, there's been a warning now from Israel that this is an operation that they describe as taking weeks, not days. So that is, of course, a huge point of concern considering the level of escalation that we've already seen just in the last 48 hours. But of course, there are fears that this will continue to escalate further as Israel threatens to increase and expand its targets. We've heard from the Israeli military saying that they have targeted over 150 objectives, they say, over the last 2 days. And of course, what we have also seen, as well as the expansion of those targets, they say targeted high-ranking officials, nuclear sites, but we've also seen now that oil depot being struck, and just overnight, Iran's defense ministry headquarters. Of course, yesterday we did also see strikes in the surrounding areas of Tehran International Airport, though no damage is said to have been sustained by the main airport building or runways. But again, there is concern around the potential for this to expand to more strategic civilian locations and targets as a result of this expansion. And that certainly seems to be the indication from the warnings that we have been hearing from Israeli officials. But then, of course, we've also seen overnight the targeting of Israeli territory. The officials in Israel confirming that several buildings in parts of central Israel were directly impacted by Iranian missiles. And as you mentioned, Brian, we have had that confirmation claim from Iranian officials that they are using newly developed missiles, which are clearly seem to be in some ways able to bypass what we're seeing as Israel's air defense systems. That is at least the claim from Iranian officials, but clearly many of those missiles have had an impact on the ground, including in residential areas. We've seen that death toll overnight now rising to at least 8, and a number of casualties as well, according to Israel's emergency services. Of course, this has sparked concerns once again for regional assets as well. We've heard that threat from Iran envoys to the United Nations around the potential for Iran to begin targeting the regional assets of any nation that provides military support to Israel in its ongoing operations and targeting Iran. Namely, of course, the United States has a number of military assets in the region to support. And we've been hearing from sources both in Israel and in the United States that this Israeli operation of the Iranian regime appears to be moving forward with implicit support from the United States, although the US says that it did not partake directly in that initial attack in the early hours of Friday morning local time. But again, there are questions around how far the US may go in its involvement in support for the Israeli military in its continued operation and attacks on Iranian territory, and what this, of course, means for any hope of some sort of diplomatic off-ramp, particularly when it comes to questions over whether or not there is any hope of salvaging some sort of negotiations or diplomatic discussions around Iran's nuclear program. That was certainly the suggestion from US President Donald Trump yesterday when he appeared to warn and put pressure on Iran to come back to the negotiating table and to fulfill and meet the demands of the United States when it comes to its nuclear program and the deal currently on.
I'm almost there.
But again, what we've been hearing from Iran and Iranian officials in response to these continued attacks, there seems to be very little hope of salvaging these talks at this stage. Brian?
Nada Bashir in London. Nada, thank you. And to reiterate what Nada just reported, the next round of talks between the U.S. and Iran have been canceled following Israel's attacks on Iranian nuclear and military targets. The Trump administration says it's still committed to talks. The White House wants Iran to dismantle its uranium enrichment program. It is not yet clear when or if discussions will resume. We are also following breaking news in Minnesota where a manhunt is underway after 2 state lawmakers and their spouses were shot. That's next.
Evil Mongolia searching for Spain. Sunday at 9 on CNN.
How was I doing?
Ever since I started shopping cars in Carvana, I started doing this.
What is scoliosis? Is there a cure? Getting a car yet?
Stuck.
Buy your car on Carvana today.
You want high performance, long lasting, affordable tools. You want Harbor Freight tools. Whatever you do, do it for less than Harbor Freight. Save even more at our parking lot sale going on now. Friday nights, you bring your A game. Flirty walks,
What?
you bring your A game. Bring your A game once you take care of your sexual wellness and include
I got
Apertude, a
left.
prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of HIV. Apertude helps give you continuous protection when taken every other month.
Oh,
and
shit.
is proven superior to
I ain't do
once-daily
shit with Jay
PrEP in
Uso.
reducing the risk of HIV.
Fuck.
You must be HIV negative to receive Apertude and get tested before each injection. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms,
Gotta
tell
speed
your
this shit
doctor
up.
right away.
Speed it
More
up, speed it up,
HIV
speed it up.
testing
Time
may
to
be
get,
needed. Apertude does not prevent other sexually transmitted
go.
infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get
Alright,
Apertude
yeah,
scheduled.
yeah,
Missing
yeah.
doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apertude if allergic or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver
I
problems,
need
and mental
speed
health. Serious side effects
and
include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur,
yeah.
get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction. You bring your A game to everything you do. Ask your doctor about
Almost
Apertude.
there. Oh.
Innovation changes everything. With one investment, you can access the people invented a solution to define my objectives versus starting with a single perspective and investor It's traumatizing when you actually and you are tired, very, very tired. The doctors over. We are a part of shower because when you are healthy, you can take care of the child. A lot of the little houses next to the hospital, they have a washing machine, kitchen, beds are very good, but it's also being with parents of other children that are sick. So you can talk, you can cry, maybe you can laugh, but it's very important for you yourself. The house is understood what our needs were. There was someone that gave you a hug, cup of tea, and that's very important to have someone who is taking care of you. My happy place. Sunday at 10 on CNN.
And now update on our top story as police in Minnesota search for a man accused of impersonating an officer and shooting two state lawmakers along with their spouses, killing one of the couples. They identified Vance Belter as a suspect, and investigators have been searching his property. Officials say the suspect targeted State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, but they survived the shooting and have now undergone surgery. Melissa Portman, who was the top Democrat in the Minnesota House, was killed in her home Saturday, along with her husband. One of her colleagues spoke to CNN earlier, remembering the lawmaker as her friend.
Sitting next to her, I think about my friend that was very funny. I think she had a very wry sense of humor and was a very direct person. You could tell she was not someone who was going to, candy coat what you needed to do. She was somebody who gave you that direct advice and told you what you needed to hear at that moment. And so that guidance and that gentle but firm idea that she would give people is the kind of leadership that is rare and is so needed. It's an unspeakable loss.
Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz is calling the attack a politically motivated assassination. CNN's Whitney Wild is following the latest today.
This started at 2 in the morning Saturday when that first 911 call came in for that shooting at State Senator John Hoffman's home. And police say that Vance Belter looked so much like a real police officer that when he knocked on the door, State Senator John Hoffman answered. And that's when he and his wife Yvette sustained multiple gunshot wounds. And what police say happened next was that a neighboring law enforcement agency was called in to help with that first shooting at State Senator Hoffman's home, and it was an astute sergeant from that neighboring police jurisdiction who said, let's go check on Representative Melissa Portman's home. So they went there. This was about 90 minutes after that first shooting. They went to Representative Portman's home, and it was in that moment that they saw Vance Belter coming out of the home, still dressed as a police officer, and he opened fire on the real cops who were coming to check. Police have not seen him in person since that moment, according to the multiple law enforcement updates that were ongoing throughout the day Saturday. They still don't know where Vance Belter is, but there are many outstanding questions as we learn more about him. CNN's investigative team has done a fantastic deep dive on him, and what they found was that he worked for a security company called Praetorian Guard Security Company that offered random armed patrols of residents' homes, and so that suggests that that might have been how he was able to acquire what really looked like police gear and this SUV that looked like a legitimate squad car. Again, law enforcement is on this massive manhunt. There are multiple law enforcement agencies engaged in trying to track this man down. Again, CNN has done this very deep dive on him, and in addition to his work as a security guard, CNN has also learned that he was an evangelical Christian who traveled to Africa and gave sermons there. And multiple people who've spoken with reporters from our affiliates at KARE 11, our affiliate reporters at KARE 11, to multiple CNN reporters, there is this feeling of shock among people who knew him. And so as we're learning more about him, the big question remains, what happened? Where along the timeline, from the people who knew him who said that they would have never seen this happen, to what we know happened on Saturday. Again, there's this massive manhunt underway, and law enforcement is hoping to update with other details, and they say that they need the public's help. So if we can go ahead and show that photo of him, he has the last photo that they had of him showed him with a cowboy hat and civilian clothes, and law enforcement really wants the public to make sure that they take careful note of what he looks like, because they're really relying on the public's help to try to track down Vance Belter as they continue this investigation. Whitney Wild, CNN, Wayne, Minnesota.
Steve Moore is a CNN law enforcement contributor and retired FBI supervisory special agent, joining us now from Los Angeles. And Steve, what do you make of everything you've seen today, from the assassination, the murder, the other attempted murders in a different location, to the shooting confrontation, to the suspect getting outside of the perimeter? What stands out most to you?
Well, what stands out most is the planning. He has obviously decided on this one. I mean, some people who do these political killings or these other cause-motivated killings, they tend to accept the fact that they're going to die in the attempt. This guy did not. this seems to be extremely well planned. Obviously, he knew where everybody lived. He did it at a time when he felt that there wouldn't be patrols around the area. He actually had an overhead, a complete head mask on, anticipating cameras. So this guy planned to live through this and escape. So I would assume that his escape plan is no less complete.
This is not the first time officers have been impersonated for these kinds of ends, but have we seen anything to this sophistication, if that's the right word for this, with the SUV with the lights, the taser, the flashlight, good enough that if you were in the press conference room, according to the police chief, you think he was law enforcement?
Yeah, it's not hard to do. The equipment that are on that police officers carry are not generally, with the exception of the firearms, they're not restricted. Civilians can go buy that stuff. So yeah, it's not that hard. I think right now it would help if we knew motive.
You see, what's happening behind the scenes right now? We saw the Brooklyn Park lockdown this morning. Police saying they were only approaching people in pairs to assure people they are not the suspect. Can that really continue with such a wider net now? What should people be aware of?
Well, right now, you have to make at least the educated assumption that he has left the area. It's been almost 24 hours. If he planned the escape as well as he planned the killing, then he's out there. And he could be well away from this area. He could be in Wisconsin, he could be in Iowa, he could be in so many places. He could be in the Dakotas. He could be trying to get out of the country. And so what the FBI and the police have in their favor is, number one, the FBI has a national network that they can work with on this. Number two, they have allegedly a manifesto, and they tend to lay things out on that. And it's a very confusing motive, because this guy was appointed to a political position by Tim Walz. So now he's attacking Democrats. So you have to try to figure out where he is with a lot of confusing different messages.
I'm going to ask you to speculate a little bit here, so forgive me, but there was that target list that you just mentioned, apparently in his car, a long list of survival gear, playing into the idea of he wanted to survive these killings. But there's the shootout with police at the Hortman home after officers proactively went to do a welfare check. If that intervention didn't happen, given what we know now about how the suspect was orchestrating those murders in these overnight hours, 2 a.m., 3:30 in the morning, how far could he have gone on that list?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he got to one more close location here. I would look on his list and find what the next closest location was. It's very possible that he was going to go until he got stopped. Again, that's speculation, but we saw that he wasn't stopped after the first one and went directly to a nearby one. So he may have mapped out the 1, 2, 3, 4 targets. Once, though, that his list was compromised, I mean, the police got it, he probably diverted completely from the list he left behind. And we don't know what his further plans are. In cases like this that I've worked, people leave their guns behind. He didn't. He has his guns. So I think we have some continuing threat here. The good news is that we kind of have an idea of who might be the targets, and we can at least, for most of them, come up with some kind of plan.
So in your view, you believe there's still a chance that he was fighting you?
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. As law enforcement, they have to assume that that's his plan. You can't just say, oh, well, we caught him at this one, he's not going to do it again. Well, no, we've already proven that he's a lunatic, that he's out there killing people. And so if we expect him to act like a rational person at this point, then we haven't understood the first two attacks. He's not a rational person at this point, but his plans are rational. So yeah, he might continue on this. I don't want to put fear in people's minds, but I I can tell you that the police are certainly going to play defense against any of his potential plans or his victims. And I think right now, if you were on that list, you probably have been contacted, and probably there's a plan.
Clearly shown how dangerous he can be. Steve Moore, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there is much more to come on CNN, including a look at the massive military parade in Washington, D.C. Saturday, honoring the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army. Stay with us.
The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper is a prime time anywhere for long-form journalism. The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper, Sunday at 8 on CNN.
Oh, what is that musky smell?
Oh, damn!
Damn! Oh, damn!
Hey, language. Deborah traps excess moisture in eliminating musty smells. Get rid of the damn with Debrid.
This is what joint pain looks like when you keep moving with Aleve. Just one Aleve. 12 hours of uninterrupted joint pain relief. Aleve. Also try liquid gels for fast and long-lasting pain relief. The Lumify effect. One drop dramatically reduces redness for brighter, whiter-looking eyes that make you go, wow. Lumify works in 1 minute and lasts up to 8 hours. See what all the hype is about with the one and only Lumify.
Pedro's parents got more than we bargained for. Good deal, and a new best friend for their son.
Dad is a legend. Who can we thank for that? There were generations of dads who passed down their legacy. Discover who they were and how they led to you with an Ancestry Family History membership. See your roots and where those stories came from with an Ancestry
I said
DNA.
Cam, I really don't have to do much with
Put
Cam.
it together, and there you are.
That's a badge. That's a badge. Oh.
Give thanks to Dad during our Father's Day sale. Check this out. Garlic buffalo, disappear.
How did you do that?
Honey, he's a magician. Let him do his thing.
So, can we magic it back?
I haven't learned that part of the trick yet.
See what happens when you get on a magic hit, Dad.
To the big drums.
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41. DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this 15-inch stand mixer for only $56.
I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And shipping is always free. Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
While hospitals have doctors and nurses, we have mom and dad. Because at Ronald McDonald House Charity, we help families feel at home, even when they can't.
After Homogo cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homogo tackled everything from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. We just pick a date, keep a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I'm always so glad Mike's still covering the Sims while in New York. It's CNN.
Federal immigration raids have triggered protests throughout the United States. The biggest of them may be in Los Angeles. At one point on Saturday, police using tear gas to clear out protesters. CNN's Michael Yoshida.
Here in downtown Los Angeles, a curfew once again in effect. You can see LAPD filling the street. This follows a day full of protests here in downtown Los Angeles. The No Kings protest kicked things off early in the morning. 20,000 or so people taking part in a march and rally near City Hall in downtown LA. As the afternoon went on, we did start to see tensions rise between some protesters and law enforcement. At some point, some protesters started throwing objects, bottles, rocks, stones at the officers. They started to then use tear gas, rubber bullets, and other equipment to try and move those protesters away from City Hall and other federal buildings. Late into the night here in LA, you can still see we have Los Angeles police moving through the streets. The sirens very audible here in downtown LA. The curfew has been in effect for several days now. and raids here in Los Angeles. More than a week later, again, we continue to see protests and marches throughout the city. In Los Angeles, Mike Riocchio.
In many parts of the U.S. Saturday, demonstrators joined anti-Trump No Keys protests. Organizers say they were denouncing what they call President Trump's creeping authoritarianism. Thousands of people attended thousands of demonstrations. Protest leaders say they wanted to present a peaceful contrast to Saturday's military parade in Washington. Meanwhile, Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. was filled with tanks, soldiers, and a massive display of military might as the U.S. Army celebrated the 250th anniversary of its founding with a military parade. Nearly 7,000 soldiers and dozens of tanks and fighting vehicles participated in the event. And vintage uniforms and equipment highlighted Army history going back to the Revolutionary War. Saturday was also President Donald Trump's birthday, and he was a big part of the celebration. He was treated to a 21-gun salute and administered the oath at an enlistment and re-enlistment ceremony. Later, he addressed the crowd, vowing that the country's best days were ahead.
250 years later, America stands tall, America stands proud, and America stands free. We're the hottest country in the world right now. And our country will soon be greater and stronger than ever before.
Michael Genovese is a political analyst, the president of the Global Policy Institute at Loyola Marymount, and author of the motto Presidency Six Debates that defines the institution. He's joining us now from Los Angeles. Michael, I want to get to the parade in a moment, but first, the day did begin here in the U.S. at least, with the news from Minnesota of those targeted attacks of state lawmakers really overshadowing some of what was to come in D.C. later in the day. What's your read on what happened?
Yes, yet again, part of the sticking in the cycle of gun violence in the United States. What other countries would allow this to happen? And in so many ways, history has been defined by violence and by gun violence. A violent revolution started us off. We expanded westward with violence against Native Americans, and we have regular examples of mass shootings in the United States today. And so, the response will be very typical because we've had it so often. The response will be, Republicans will say, this is time not for politics but for prayer. Then I would say, yes, it's time for prayer. Let's pray today, but we have to act tomorrow. That's an excuse. The Republicans have an excuse for not acting. They are very much in the back pocket of the National Rifle Association. And so, these events, today's political assassination, random violence, it's overwhelming, and yet we do nothing about it.
To the parade now, celebrating the milestone of the Army's 250th birthday. There's been this debate about the motives of the parade. Was it akin to Bastille Day in France, or the politicization of our military, or somewhere in between? Some people are nuanced. What do you see as the purpose?
Well, going in, there was a very encouraging thing. This would be yet another Donald Trump spectacle. Those fears did not materialize. I think that's a good thing. It was a very un-Trump-like parade. They honored the Army, which is the 250th anniversary. And Donald Trump was very much impressive. This is his birthday. He was a central character. But he was still like status. His remarks were shockingly short and surprisingly subdued. Donald Trump, was the poster child for over-the-top faceless gaudiness, was very understated today. Presidential even. He doesn't often do that. Now, still, this is against the backdrop of what we think will happen tomorrow, which is the Marines will get involved in the Los Angeles protest. And so, that the backdrop is always there of the potential
Wow, let's go.
Michael, with the more presidential tone and tenor by the president, did he get what he wanted today? What was the impact here? How did you play?
He sounded tired. He sounded every bit of 79 years old. I think what he wanted to do was signify. And there was so much of this that was young people who just going to be just a step. embarrassment to the United States. It's going to be Donald Trump stealing the show. I think wisely his advisors told him, do not do that. This is the time to be presidential because you really aren't the star. The American military is, let's honor them. And Donald Trump did that.
How will history remember this parade?
I don't think it will have much of an impact. We haven't had a military parade in over 30 years in Washington, D.C. It's not part of our tradition. It's not part of what we do. It's not always treated by people of democracy. It's celebrating military. Think of Kim Jong-un in North Korea or maybe the Russian Navy parades. It doesn't always fit up with democracy. And so I think it will probably, in the long run, have very little impact.
See in that long run. Michael Genovese in Los Angeles. Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Right now, more CNN Newsroom. Just ahead.
The UPS store is more than just a shipping store. We're the packet, shipping, guaranteed store. We know running a small business takes a lot of work, so we're the We've Got Your Back store. Because when you trust us to pack it and ship it, we guarantee it, so it'll get into the hands of your customers safely. Which is why we're the Stand By Our Work guaranteed store. Get 20% off Father's Day packing services by visiting the upsstore.com/packing. Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, causing irreversible vision loss. But with Izervay, you can ask your doctor about Izervay. Izervay is the #1 prescribed FDA-approved treatment for new GA patients. Izervay is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision is recovered after an eye injection or exam. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression, which may help preserve your vision longer.
Damn it. Fuck. At least I got range at good still. Fucking take the long.
This is the new Dell AI PC with Intel inside. It helps save you time because it does all of your busy work for you, so you can get busy doing what you want to do.
NASCAR Prime Day in Mexico City. Brand new road course. What's up, guys? I love it. Sounds like a track with my name all over it. Actually, it's Colorado Romo Hermanos Rodriguez.
Fuck, I did it wrong already. I'm wasting time. Fuck, so much.
Or the Home Defense Max Indoor Insect Barrier. One application kills and prevents bugs for 365 days. Nature's wild. Your home doesn't have to.
Wow. Sorry about my shine.
23,000. No.
Who doesn't love tracking the value of everything? Now you can track the value of your car with Carvana Value Tracker. Sign up and we'll give you the current value of your car, and you'll get regular value updates too. Sign up today at Carvana.
Full house. 2 empty nests. 3 birds. And God. 50 years of helping you invest from every chapter. Lowe's Captain in New York by Page Publishing. If you've written a book, we'll publish it for you.
If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. Cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call 800-563-0741.
An update on the hour's top stories. A massive manhunt is underway in Minnesota for 57-year-old Vance Belker. He's suspected of shooting 2 Democratic lawmakers and their spouse, State Representative Melissa Portman, and her husband were shot and killed. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were also shot but survived. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says this was an attack on democracy itself.
This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.
Also on Saturday, thousands of protesters marched in every single U.S. state. Organizers for the No Peace protest say they were the strongest display of opposition to President Trump in his second term. And in Israel, at least 8 people are dead and about 140 wounded after new Iranian missile and drone attacks. This came hours after Israel targeted Iran's defense ministry in Tehran. Investigators in the Air India plane crash are focusing on the engine, flash, and landing gear with hopes of finding out why the plane went down moments after takeoff. The crash killed at least 290 people.
How?
One soul survived. Seamus Ben Hunt.
What the fuck?
It's painstaking work. A crane lifts the tail section of the crashed Air India passenger plane the day before Ahmedabad. One piece of the puzzle that could help investigators determine why the London-bound flight crashed into a residential area just seconds after takeoff, killing all but one of the 242 people on board and others on the ground. The flight's data recorder has been recovered, which could shed light on the plane's final moments. Investigators say they're looking into possible issues with engine thrust, flaps, and the landing gear. And all of India's remaining Boeing 787s are undergoing urgent inspections.
There are 34 in our Indian aircraft fleet today. I believe that 8 have already been inspected, and with immediate urgency, all of them are going to be done.
But some family members say it's an agonizing wait for answers, and are growing angry and frustrated that the time is taking to retrieve them.
Nah, okay, Sam. You gotta go. Ain't fucking
There are
tired.
2 very young children among the crash victims, and I want to know where they are. One of them is Ion. He is a London boy. How will we answer his grandmother? She lives in London. What will we tell her?
A hospital official says many of the bodies are badly burned. It's a slow, meticulous process to identify them using DNA samples and dental records.
It's
There's been a
over.
rapid recovery, the sole survivor of the crash.
Actually, out of danger. After the funeral, you can walk around, you can everything doing normal routine.
Air India says they will give an interim payment of about $29,000 to each victim's family, many of which can't begin to grieve yet as they wait to bring their loved one home. Ben Hunt, CNN.
The British royal family wore black armbands in honor of the Air India crash victims during the tribute the Colour Parade in London on Saturday. The annual event marks the sovereign's official birthday, although King Charles actually turned 78 in November. The event honors the monarch's links to the military and was heavy on pageantry without tanks or heavy hardware. It ended with the royal family watching a red arrow fly past over Buckingham Palace. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Abel in Atlanta. We are back with more news in just a few.
My happy place. One place I could truly be myself.
My happy place. Sunday at 10 on CNN.
Work.
The only 3-in-1 extended release formula for dry eye. When investing leads to questions, JP Morgan Wealth Management has powerful tools, research from expert analysts, and a single view of your banking and investing accounts right in the Chase mobile app. When you want to take control of your financial future, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Friday nights, you bring your A game. Flirty walks, you bring your A game.
Bring your A game when taking care of your sexual wellness and include Apertude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of HIV. Apertude helps give you continuous protection when taken every other month, and it's proven superior to once daily PrEP in reducing the risk of HIV.
You must be HIV negative to receive Apertude and get tested before each injection. If you think you are exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apertude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. The Apertude is scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apertude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction.
You bring your A game to everything you do. Ask your doctor about Apertude.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know, performance and durability go along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again. World-class engineering and rigorous testing to ensure our tools stand the test of time without testing the wall. Now it's time for you to put us to the test. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Save even more at our parking lot sale going on now.
Home Aglow just cleaned my entire house for $19. Seriously, $19. They showed up right on time. Did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just take a big cleaner and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using Home Aglow, and I think you will too.
Does your dog suffer from nasty weather and loudness? Dog's question. Designed for comfort and effectiveness, these noise-reducing headphones fit any breeze to help your pet stay calm when life gets loud. They're waterproof, lightweight, and built to last. Join dog lovers worldwide who trust Doggy's Hush to bring peace to their pets. Visit doggyhush.com to find the perfect fit and give your dog the calm.
Evil Longoria, searching for Spain, Sunday at 9 on CNN. This is CNN's breaking news.
Hello to our viewers here in the U.S. and around the world. I'm Brian Abel in Atlanta. Ahead on CNN News. No end in sight to the fighting between Iran and Israel as the death toll climbs. Could the conflict spill over across the region? A manhunt underway after a U.S. state lawmaker and her husband were shot and killed in their home in Minnesota. Plus, protests across America as President Donald Trump holds a military parade. Iran and Israel are trading missile fire for a third straight day as damage and casualties mount on both sides. This is what played out in Tel Aviv as Iranian missiles rained down on targets in Israel. Officials say the latest barrage killed at least 8 people and left about 140 others injured across the country. Iran says it used its new guided or maneuverable ballistic missiles in some of those strikes, claiming it can penetrate Israel's advanced air defenses. But Iran is also taking heat from Israel, which set ablaze this oil depot in Tehran. Iranian media says the country's defense ministry in the capital has also been hit, along with the world's largest natural gas field in southern Iran. Sources are telling us the Israeli operation is expected to take weeks, not days.
Almost there.
And Israel's prime minister is making it clear they're more.
We have paved a path to Tehran. In the very near future, you will see Israeli planes, the Israeli Air Force, our brave pilots above the skies of Tehran. We will strike at every site, every target of the Ayatollah regime.
Yep.
What they have felt until now is like nothing compared to what they will feel in the coming days.
Did all I could do.
The next round of nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran have been canceled.
Buddy.
This comes amid the hostilities between Israel and Iran, and after Iran's foreign minister called negotiations with the U.S. unjustifiable. Despite the talks being halted, the Trump administration says it's still